from Florida. So thank you, Mike, for your introduction. So also let me give a little bit introduction of myself. So my name is Fang, and I'm a professor in the English department in a state university in Florida. And I teach first year writing courses, as well as some upper division writing courses. And my meaningful experience helping juniors and seniors in high school improving their essays actually traced back to a few years ago. It has been such a gratifying experience. You know, going to university is a very important step of everybody's life. I can't say that I take the full credit for all my students who had the opportunity to go to their dream schools. They definitely had their adequate preparations, but everything in the application package has to be right for you to go into your dream schools. And one of them, a key component in that application package is college essay, right? So the purpose of the talk is to help you who are facing this daunting task of college application. Thanks for sharing this 1 hour of your valuable Saturday time with us here. So during my presentation, as Mike said, if you have any questions, please feel free to put it into the chat box. While I'm presenting, I may not kind of attend fully to your questions, but afterwards, I will definitely address your questions. All right, so first of all, let me share my screen with you so you can see the slide. Okay. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
That's probably the most frequent question that I ask since the pandemic. All right, so let's get started. The title of this presentation is an overview of cracking the college essay code. So we have a brief agenda for today's presentation. So this is my teaching habit. Actually, for every class that I teach, I first ask myself what I really want my students to get from the session. So as you can see here, there are a lot of important questions for college essay, right? Why is college essay important? Purpose, audience, genre, general guidelines, what to write, how to write. So those are key questions to ask, okay, in this whole process of preparing for college essay. So this is just an overview. So I probably cannot provide everything in detail in just 1 hour, but I hope you can get the large picture. You can at least have an answer to the 5 questions that I listed here. Although that question may not be complete, I would totally encourage you to keep searching for answers after this talk. All right, so I know that I will do most of the talking tonight, which is not usually the case with my courses, but I'm tasked with this running the show tonight. However, I'd still like to somehow get you guys involved. So here is our first poll. I'd like to know who's in my audience right now. Okay, so Mike, yes. Okay, so you should be able to see the poll right now. So altogether, there are 3 questions. If you could just to give me the choice based on your situation so that I know who's in my audience. Okay, so we already have about half of the participants joining the poll. So maybe another 20 seconds. Five, four, three, two, one. Okay, all right. So we have 18 participants. Thanks for your participation. So let me see the results. Okay, so we do have a lot of juniors and seniors. Good. All right, so a lot of you have not actually started the essay preparations process yet. All right, so I hope the presentation will give you a brief idea of what the whole process looks like. Okay, and a lot of you are saying the biggest challenge is probably choosing worthy topics. That's definitely one of our topics for tonight. All right. Thanks for sharing. So let me stop sharing it and move forward. All right. So as a lot of you are not actually very familiar with the process, let's see why this is so important. Okay, so that's the start point, right? Understanding the why. And then we'll go to what and how. All right, so so why it's important? I'm just offering two perspectives here. So one perspective is from the admissions officer, right? So from the perspective of admissions officer, as you can see from the quote, many of the students, many of the applicants have very similar grades, test scores, and activities. So what really will tell you apart from others, right? What will actually make you stand out? And then the answer is your college admission essay, right? Your essay, the essay is your single greatest opportunity to distinguish yourself as an individual. So that's from the admissions officer's perspective. And from the applicant perspective, I want to introduce this guy here that you see. So this is a student that just graduated this year and got accepted to all 8 AV schools in the United States. So definitely he has fabulous academic records. But as you can see from here, he was saying, I have taken 48 different courses throughout high school, and I have won so many first place awards. All of the academic records are fabulous, right? But what truly differentiated me was how I was able to present myself as a person through my story. So that's how he was credited the college essay or college writing, which provide him a kind of opportunity to show herself as a person, okay, to show his story. So he's as you can see here, he's holding a Yale flag there. So at first he decided to go to Yale, but later on he actually changed his mind. So I believe he's right now in Harvard. Okay. So here you got the perspective from the applicant, right? What's important? Okay, I have this fabulous academic record, but really the writing, the story, that's how I make people know me. All right, so next, I would like to kind of introduce 3 notions to you. So first and foremost, I'm a writing professor, right? So I feel like I cannot talk about any writing situation without really talking about the basic concepts of writing. So here are 3 basic concepts that I discuss in almost every single course that I teach. So they are purpose, audience, genre, right? So purpose is, what are your goals, right? So for this particular type of writing, what are your goals? Right? And then audience is, who will read your writing, right? How to make your writing appealing to them, engaging to them, right? And then finally is the genre. Okay, so genre is the type of writing, right? So just like in music, you may know that there are different types of music, right? As it's kind of listed here, if you could see the small fonts. The same is true with writing, right? You have all different kinds of writings, and different types of writing have to comply with the genre conventions of that particular writing, right? So a journal is different from a college essay, right? An email is different from a text message, right? The purpose is meant for you to demonstrate a range of your skills, qualities, and interests, so that colleges you apply to got to know who you are and a picture of like what type of person, what type of citizen you are going to be on their campus. And they would also like to know how you can contribute to their campus, right? So sort of answer the question of who you are. So who's the audience? So clearly the admissions officers would be the audience, right? So consider your audience needs, right? So they're busy, right? They are busy people. So you don't want to kind of confuse them with your writing that they cannot understand at the first time of reading, right? They need to kind of get the point the first time that they read your writing. And also they have seen thousands of students' essays, right? So don't bore them, right? Write something interesting, engaging, and don't upset them with sad stories, and don't irritate them with hard to understand, too complex sentences or sloppy writing. Okay? And to consider the genre. So basically, most of the college essays are personal narrative, right? So talking about narrative, some people would just think, okay, narrative is fiction, okay? But actually, fiction is narrative, but not all the narratives are fiction. There's a difference there, right? So you probably don't want to make up the story because this is not a creative writing situation, right? So in terms of genre, it's personal narrative. So you need to know what features good personal narrative. All right, so moving forward. So I often have students or parents asking me this question: is there just one way to write these things, right? Is there a particular way that we can learn? So the answer is no. However, if the question is, are there general guidelines? Then the answer is yes. Okay, so I think maybe then you should pay attention to the next slide. So the next slide really has important information for you to include in your college essays. So the guiding principles. So let's take a look at these general principles. So these are what you need to show with your essay. So first of all, you need to show your values, right? So what is your value? What are your values? So you probably need 4 to 5 core values. Okay, so things like what you value, who you are, what's important for you, why that is important for you, what you will fight for, how would you define yourself, things like that. Okay, so definitely you need to include values. And then the second is authenticity. Okay, so for those of you who are seniors or juniors, if you go to your counselor, they probably, the #1 rule they tell you about college essay is to be yourself, to tell your true story, right? So that's authenticity, right? So what makes you true and real? So sometimes you can have a little bit, what I would say, a kind of vulnerability. Okay, so you can describe something that is a stretch. Okay, so you can, by doing that, by showing your struggle, by showing your stretch, you actually show a human part of yourself, right? So that is the importance of authenticity. And then the third one is perception, right? So perception or insight. So this actually helps you to kind of address the so what question. So I would say, one biggest pitfall for college essay is that a lot of times students are good with describing what happened, right? So you need to tell your story, so students are good with describing what happened. However, what is missing is the perception, right? What's important is not only what, right? What happened? So that is important, but what is more important perhaps is that so what question, right? So this happened, so what, right? So how you actually view your world. So why you choose the way that you chose, right? And why you think the way that you think. So that's your perception or your insight. And finally, the craft of writing, right? How well do you write? So definitely you need to kind of demonstrate good writing, okay? So it's revised, it's edited, it's not just something that you finish or compose the day before you send off your application. After understand, you need to kind of show your values, your authenticity, your perception, your craft. I guess the next question then is, so where do I start, right? So where do I start? So there's a process, okay? So let's kind of walk the walk by taking some mini steps in this process. Many of you know that the first step to write anything is actually brainstorming, right? So here I would like to introduce one tool for your brainstorming as well as one topic. Okay, so we will do 2 brainstorming activities together tonight. And for this first one, I have a topic, and then the second one, I have another topic which is related to the first one. Okay, so let's take a look at the tool and the topic. All right. So the tool that I introduced here, so I see some annotations there. I appreciate your engagement, but I don't want to be distracted by the beautiful shapes here, okay? So do me the favor, do not annotate it. If I need annotation, I will let you know. Okay, all right. So this tool is called fractal grid. So as you can see here, it has 9 boxes. So this is called level 1 fractal grid. So you will see level 2 grid in our next brainstorming activities. So first things first, in the very central box over here, okay? So actually now is the time that I actually wish somebody could do the annotation here to kind of highlight that for me. Okay, so I think I'm disabled with the annotation. Okay, anyway, so in the middle box over here, you actually see the box with the phrase I am, right? So the topic that I'd like you to brainstorm is your identities. Okay, so as you know, identity is big in college essay, a genre basically to show who you are. So that ties very closely to your identities. Okay, very good. Somebody did me the favor of annotating that. Thank you. All right. So for instance, if I'm thinking about who I am an Asian woman, right? I am a minority professor in my university. Actually, I think I'm the only Asian professor in my department. And also I'm a mother. I'm a dancing club member. I'm a local newspaper staff writer. I'm a regular gym goer. Well, not right now, not right now. As you can see, there are multiple identities, and my daily activities are actually tied to my multiple identities, right? And as a student, you can see the student example here on the screen. So a student could be a loving brother, a math club member, a hardcore gamer, an avid reader, a longtime swimmer. So so on and so forth. So for the next 2 minutes, okay, so for the next 2 minutes, I'd like you to kind of brainstorm your identity and put your identities in a grid like this. Okay. All right. So you may use a pen, a pencil, or if you prefer to do it just on the computer, or even you just want to do a mental note. Okay, it's up to you. And also, there's no need for you to kind of fill out all the boxes, right? So this is just at the beginning. This is just to kind of get your thinking wheel spinning. All right. Now, any kind of writing is hard. It's not easy, right? But we have to start from somewhere. All right. So for the next 2 minutes, okay. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Oops. Actually, I don't want it to be this big. Okay, so it seems that my YouTube timer is not working well, so I will just use my phone to time you, okay? Oh, I should click here. Yeah. All right, my bad. Okay, so 20 seconds left. So I hope by the end of the 2 minutes, at least you have something there. All right. So that's our very long 2 minutes. So I hope by now everybody at least have something there, okay, in the boxes. Our second brainstorming activity actually is kind of built upon this first one. So at least you have something that you kind of considered as your own identities here. So out of the maybe 4 or 5, or if you're good, 7 or 8 different identities, I want you to really think about what are maybe 2 or 3 identities that you really want to show, and it's really meaningful to show to the admissions officer. Okay, so what would those 2 or 3 identities be? Okay, all right. So the second brainstorming activities, as you can see, is a kind of extension of that first brainstorming activities, right? So in this round, you have the level 2 grid. So with this grid, you see the identities that you put in the first activity actually come to the central boxes. Okay, each of the central boxes here in the surrounding areas for that central box. So in this round, I'd like you to kind of think about with each identity, what activities do you do? Okay, so for instance, if you choose, if you are a math club member, okay, I know that just a lot of Asian kids, especially Asian boys, are members of a math club. So if you are a math club member, you probably attend a lot of competitions, right? So you tutor younger kids, you participate in your club practices, you help organize different kind of math competition events, so on and so forth, right? So in the next 2 minutes, pick a few identities. Okay, so you don't have to do all. So maybe pick 2 or 3 identities that you really would like to show to the admissions officer, and start brainstorming what are the activities that associated with that identity. Okay, so what do you do? Okay, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. All right. So these would all become the materials for your college essay. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you another 2 minutes. Thirty seconds. All right. So if this is my class, I will ask the students to let me know whether that 2 minutes is productive or not. But in this situation, in the interest of the time, I won't be able to do that. But I hope the 2 minutes are productive. And also, I just want to kind of introduce this tool of fractal grid, this tool that we use to brainstorm. It's not just for brainstorming things that you will be writing for your college essay, right? So it's a good tool to actually keep, for instance, to keep your knowledge systematic, right? Or to kind of take notes, or to kind of do other types of brainstorming. So it's a good tool, okay? So I hope that you kind of explore the use of the tool as well. Okay, so that's just some side note. All right, so now if those 4 minutes that I spent here is productive, then by now you should have something that you would like to write about, right? So you have a few of your identities that you would like to share with the admissions officer. You have some activities that you do on your daily basis associated with those identities, right? So what's next? So as I mentioned earlier, you probably need to demonstrate your values, right? So you not need to tie your identity and your activities to your values. Okay, so I'm giving you here a kind of extensive list of values often found in college essays. Do you need that many? No, please do not use all of them. So try to select those that would align best with your identities and with the activities that you chose. Okay, so you probably want to kind of narrow it to first to 10 and then further narrow it down to 5. Okay, so the key here is that the values that you show should totally align well with the identities that you choose to share and the activities that you choose to write. Okay. All right. So you have your identities, you have your activities, and then hopefully you have kind of selected some good values that totally align with the identity and activities. So now you should have topics to write about, right? So what we will be talking about next then is the craft of writing, right? Is to kind of answer the question of how. So to answer the how question, I would like you to actually look at a specific example here. Okay, I'm sorry for the small font of this example here. Let me see whether I can put in presentation mode so it's bigger. All right, I hope it's bigger right now. Mike, is it bigger? Okay, all right. So the reason that I decided to show you a piece that needs work instead of a piece that's beautifully written is that bad writing oftentimes generate a better discussion, in my experience with college essay workshops. All right, so I will give you perhaps a few minutes for you to read it. And if you could put down your ideas about like what you think went wrong with this piece in the chat box, that would be good. All right, yeah, so take a quick look at this piece and then just to give me some comments, give me some thoughts about what needs improved or what went wrong. By the way, this is surely not the worst one that I've seen. Okay, I have seen worse ones, but I have to say this one definitely is a failure. Yeah, just anything that you think did not go quite well. What does that annotation mean? Nothing goes right. Okay, so I will give you about one last minute and see whether we have any brave volunteers contributing to our chat. Don't be shy, guys. All right. So Mike, we still don't have anyone contributing to the chat box, right? Okay, that's fine. All right. So that gives me some kind of sense, that may give you some sense of like achievement. So if you guys cannot detect the problems with this piece, then that means my work to help you guys improving your college essay or to prepare your college essay is totally meaningful. All right. Okay. So this piece actually has a lot of problems, ranging from, for instance, the coherence of the writing, the unclear timeline. Okay, so the timeline is actually not that clear in this writing. And also there are some, one of the common mistakes in college essay writing is the hollow trite claims. The student writer is claiming that he is a community leader, as you can see here, a community leader, a kind of animal rights activist, all of those. So those are pretty empty claims. So you definitely want to kind of avoid those empty claims. And also there are some not so thoughtful ideas presented out there. So for instance, he was writing about the death of a turtle, right? But who killed the turtle? Okay, so the student writer killed the turtle, right? He killed the turtle, and he, at the same time, he's writing something about the animal rights activist. So that idea is just not totally kind of thought after at all. And also there are some details provided. However, now generally speaking, providing details is good, but you should provide the details that would most show your own identity, but not like some actual details that's not needed. So for instance, the writer here kind of gives some details about what kind of song his or her mother was playing, what kind of song her brother was playing. So how has that to do with showing your identity, right? So so there are multiple problems, and in addition to that, there are kind of like sentence structure problems. There are punctuation problems as well. Okay. All right. So with this piece, I actually want to kind of remind you, the whole process of writing college essay is to help you becoming a stronger writer, right? So for instance, the pieces just now we were talking about, there are a lot of places that can be improved. And no matter what type of writing that you're doing, those 3 aspects of writing are something that you should attend to, okay? I'm kind of coming back to my writing professor role here. So this is a serious writing situation, and you probably need to take it seriously by presenting your best self, both in content of your writing and also in the form of your writing. So usually when we talk about higher order concerns, we're talking about, for instance, the hook in your writing, the conflict in your writing. For instance, the conflict in the writing that you saw just now is just not well constructed. The structure of the writing and the coherence of the writing. So those are some of things that you need to consider, and we call all of those higher order concerns. And also there are lower order concerns. So language is powerful, right? Words are powerful. So you want to use some memory-soaked words, or you want to use some figurative language in your writing, okay? So that can make your writing more engaging, okay? And finally, you need to show that you have done good self-editing and proofreading. So that just tie into your credibility, right? Whether you are treating this writing situation seriously, right? Whether you are a trustworthy or credible writer, right? So that's the image that you project about yourself to the admissions officer. So actually by the end of the process, I hope you have something that would strengthen your college application package. But also as a writing teacher, as a writing professor, I also hope that everyone becomes a stronger writer in general. All right, so just a little bit about the process. So generally speaking, the stages are like this, right? So we have the pre-work stage in which you kind of get a taste of it today with our brainstorming activities. And then we have the writing stage in which you know what you want to write about, and then you provide the details, you kind of flesh out details and thoughts. And then finally, we have the revision stage. You try to make it stronger with your personal stamp. So generally speaking, for the main essays or the major supplemental essays for each school, you should probably prepare 5 to 6 revisions. That's on average. However, the process is not totally linear. So I have students who thought they are at the end of the process, they are doing revision. However, I found that their focus is totally wrong. So I kind of redirected them, reoriented them to something that can be minor in their current draft, but I want them to kind of make it major to kind of just make the essay stronger. So they have to go back to the writing stage to kind of fleshing out details and thoughts. So it's not a linear process. All right, so I have kind of introduced the process. So I just want to kind of get some of your idea. How do you feel right now? So I'd like to see how you rate your own pain level about the process. Okay. So 0 to 2, that means like, it's gonna be a breeze for you. You're not worried about it at all. And the 10 is like so difficult, it's tense, it's so stressful. Okay, so we are at 14 participants now. So let's see whether we can get at least like half. 10 more seconds. Okay. All right. So you guys are pretty much spread out. right? So we have most at 4 and 6. You feel okay about it? All right. So more or less, even for my very strong writers, I have like very strong writer students in the process. It's still, at times, it can be very stressful. But at the end, if you do it right, if you make the commitment, at the end, the result would be good. Okay, but then I just want to kind of warn you ahead of time. Sometimes it's going to be painful. However, I hope that this process, if it involves any kind of pain, the pain actually pays off. So by preparing a good college essay, I hope you can reap the benefit of a stronger package overall that will get you into your dream school. And also, I hope by the end of the process, you end up with higher self-esteem. You end up with better writing skills. You just kind of love yourself better. I have students telling me that by the end of the process, I actually love myself better because I found like I have so many traits, positive traits that I actually did not think about. But since this is a process of discovering my own strength, by the end, I feel like I'm a very strong person, and I like that. So I want this to be a self-discovery process for you as well. Okay, so do not just take it as a task of getting an essay done. Okay, you can actually reap multiple benefits with the process. Okay, so as one of the students admitted to Stanford University claims here, the admissions essay provided a great opportunity for me to evaluate my goals and to really understand my passions in life. And that's huge. Okay, if you can understand your passions in life and pursue that passion, that's definitely something that's worth celebrating. Okay, all right. So with that, I think I conclude my presentation, and just let me give the floor back to Michael.
Thank you, Professor Fang. I mean, personally, I also find writing is daunting. It's difficult. Yeah. So, but actually, I was really interested in the first two brainstorming activities you shared. I think even myself, I'm thinking about, okay, what I'm doing, who am I? I mean, ask all those philosophical questions, but then eventually can really lead you to think about what you do, what you love, what you hate, what you like, and what you often do. I mean, that's interesting. So then we can really see you, I mean, from a third person perspective and analyze yourself and looking for, I mean, there's possibly a lot of topics, a lot of things to write about yourself in this personal narrative, right? Okay. So thank you for your sharing.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So while we are waiting for our audience, the students to post your questions, and I do have a question for you. So I know you have been helping many students preparing, I mean, not just essay, but also writing in general, right? I mean, to become a better writer so that you're more capable of delivering a more engaging, more interesting, more outstanding college or university essay. So what kind of experience like, I mean, how you are interacting with students normally? How you are helping them? I mean, writing is tough, right? I mean, I believe every student is taking a writing course somewhere, somehow in their study, but it's still difficult. So in what way you think you can, I mean, my question more obvious, easier, is in what way you think you are different from others and how you are helping them to write better?
Okay, I think that's a large question, right? So how do you help your students? In a lot of ways. There are a lot to comment on that question.
And how you, I mean, just you,
okay.
yeah, especially in this type of program, it's online, right? How you are really, what are things you are doing differently? Yeah.
Okay, so I think there are perhaps two things that I really kind of pay attention to when I help students, when I work with my students. And I guess number one is this motivation. Okay, so I want the students to see the relevance of what we're doing to what they want to do. right? So the relevance, I think, is very important. If they can see the relevance of what they're doing to what they want to do, what they will be doing, then they will have enhanced motivation, right? So I try to kind of work on students' motivation. So that's something that I pay a lot of attention to. So try to kind of bring in relevance into the learning process. And also, I guess one way to kind of get them motivated is really to kind of understand what's in their life, right? To kind of just build the learning tasks kind of more relevant to their life, to what they are familiar with. So that's one thing. And then I guess the second thing is I take a kind of individualized approach to writing. So I think the learning needs for every student is different. So I tend to kind of first understand their learning needs and then try to kind of tailor my instruction to their learning needs. Okay, and also writing is a subject that really, in which really in the learning process, the feedback is really important, right? The individualized feedback is really important. And I found that a lot of my students actually in their previous educational experience, they did not get a lot of individualized feedback to their writing. So that's something that I kind of intentionally include in my teaching, right? So I want to have a kind of systematic feedback kind of method so that I can use to give individualized feedback to the students. Yeah, so I see that motivation and individualized feedback are two things that I intentionally work on in my working with the students. So even in my college courses, I have like 20-something students. Even in that situation, I actually do a lot of individualized feedback to the students and meeting with them one-on-one, doing conferences, things like that. But it's also pretty typical in just in writing programs. I think both in Canada and in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, I like that. I think motivation, helping people to think, I mean, how students to think and look inside yourself and look for the, I mean, most worthy topic to write about. I mean, that's important. And also individual feedback, helping, I mean, yeah, it's personal, right? I mean, each university is slightly different, each major is slightly different, and how to write your essay tailored to that particular topic or that particular school. Okay, thank you so much for sharing. And we do have questions from the students, from Alan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so okay, I've heard some Canadian university asking applicants to write why this particular major, such as why you're choosing business or why engineering. So these are very general topics. How to make personal essay outstanding when answering this type of questions.
Okay, so I don't think it's just like this is something special in Canadian university. I think a lot of US universities also ask this question. This is like one typical question that they would ask when you apply for college. So I would say you definitely want to kind of tie your answer to this question to your own, as I said, I talked about your own identity, right? Your activities. So definitely tie into your identity and your own activities, right? So if you have done something special for in those activities, then that may kind of differentiate you from other applicants, right? So for instance, math. Right, so we're all talking about math. If you're choosing like a math major, so why do you choose this major? So we know a lot of kids, they are math club members, right? They participate in math practices, right? However, there could be some unique experience that you have, okay, that other people may not have, right? So for instance, one of my one of the students actually I tutored last year was majoring in math, and he got accepted into MIT this year. So the reason, the way that he approached it is, he was talking about how he was interested in actually linguistics and how math actually helps him to kind of tackle the linguistic problems. So you see here, he's making a special connection there, right? So between math and the language, right? Then that's something special, right? So I would definitely, to answer this question, I would, or just any question, right? Any question, you should definitely kind of think about what's unique to you, right? So you're again, think about your identity, think about your activities, what's special to you, right? You know that, then we are, right? So I would definitely kind of encourage you to kind of think about how to build up that uniqueness into into your answer to this question. But again, tie into your activities, tie into your identity, okay? By really kind of processing the activities, not just something in general, okay? I'm a math club member and I do this, I do that, but really process that activity. Think about what's different, okay? Everybody is having a different life, everyone. Even when you think about the way that I live, it's similar to everybody else. It's not. It's definitely not. So make this a kind of self-discovery process. You will find more, okay? Even if at this time, you don't think about anything special, but later on, as your thinking proceeds, okay, you will definitely have something to kind of write about.
Okay, thank you. I think I like that. It's really a self-exploration. You look into yourself, like trying to find what are things that you are different. I mean, like I like what you said is each of us is just different. Our life is different. Nobody's exactly the same. And if you're choosing business, maybe there's something that you really want that makes you to choose business as your major, or like math. I mean, I was astonished that, okay, I mean, for him, we can find out there's a linguistic and mathematic connection. That's smart. I mean, I would love to read that essay if I'm the officer. That's interesting.
Yeah, it definitely appeals to the admissions officer at MIT.
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, this also shows that you have a kind of a goal. You know what you are doing. You are not just go to a math club because your parents ask you to do so, right? It's just not just because you want to go to math, because you want to go to MIT, so you join. So you really ask yourself why I'm doing this. Is any other motivation, any other reason? So I mean, asking why, that probably helped as well. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions from the audience?
But that's a very good question, Alan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Okay, so yeah, we can continue the conversation. If anyone have another question, you can post that. So I know that Professor Fang is going to offer this program, this college university essay writing program with Upswing Academy in the next 2 weeks' time. So can you just talk a little bit more about that particular online program you are working with Upswing Academy?
Okay, I actually prepared the slides on the overview of the course. Okay, so for some of you who are just kind of attending today's talk, I hope you benefit from this presentation and really get a kind of large picture idea of college essay, the process, the what, and then how. For those of you who might be interested in the course, so here is a little bit more information. So we'll have 4 times of synchronous time online on 4 Saturdays. And then altogether we'll have 6 hours of online small classes in which we'll be talking about those topics that I kind of gave you an overview, but I did not have the time to provide the details. So we'll start with the basic writing concepts in writing essay, in college essay. And then we'll talk about one challenge that you identify as the biggest challenge at the beginning of this presentation, which is choosing topics. So I will introduce brainstorming strategies and kind of present some worthy topics. And then for you to kind of discover your own worthy topics. And then we'll talk about ideas and structure of writing, what are the necessary components, what you need to include in your essay, and what are some of the common frameworks that you can put your ideas in. And then finally, we'll talk about the language, we'll talk about the revision and transferability, which is at the end of the stage, you need to polish your language, you need to have some self-editing skills. And for some of you who are applying for multiple universities or colleges, how do you turn that one story to multiple narratives that you can use for different programs, for different universities? So that's just a kind of very brief outline of what we will be doing. As I said, as a writing professor, I definitely don't want this just to be a course to help you complete your college essay. I do want you to grow as a strong writer by the end of the course. Okay, so that's why I kind of emphasized some of the basic concepts in college essay and kind of brainstorming strategies, self-editing. Now, whatever you write in your future professional life or in college, in your academic life, those are the things that you would need, okay, in order to be a better writer, okay? So those are some of the topics. And also, I will offer 1 hour of one-on-one session for each of the students who enrolled in the class, because I do think, as I said earlier, I do value that individualized approach to writing instruction. So I will offer the students one-on-one session for this class.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
well,
did I miss anything?
Okay, let's see if anyone have any question about this. So to me, I think it's a really great opportunity, because think about the time, I mean, of this program. So actually, it starts like 2 weeks from now, and then which means by end of mid-October, you will have at least one essay ready, and then probably you can also exploring a few variations of that particular essay. So then I mean, for those who are in grade 12, you are preparing for your application, you will have that ready by end of October. And then even with this one-on-one session with Professor Fang, I believe that will give you another boost to have an outstanding and eye-catching essay for your application. So the program starts on September 19th and all the way through to October 17th. So basically 4 weeks, 4 Saturdays, and 90 minutes each will be helping you to have your essays for your dream university. Okay, I see there's a question from Jason. Is the storytelling almost conversational tone used in the example essay bad? Okay, so Professor Fang, to you.
Okay, Johnson, that's a good question. Not at all. I don't think conversational tone used in this in the essay is bad. Now, in the example essay that I showed just now, not all the conventional tone works well in that particular example, but I'm just talking about in general, in this type of writing, in this genre, the conversational tone is not necessarily bad, but you have to use it strategically. Okay, hope that answers your question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so yeah, any other questions you can continue to post, and just the last one. So this program is designed for 10 students only. So it will be a very small class and a lot of hands-on activity, and Professor Fang will lead each one of you through this whole journey or this process, from self-discovery to writing your first draft and then revisions, and even giving you ideas doing those one-on-one sessions. So hopefully in 4 weeks, 5 weeks time, you will have a workable essay for your university application. Okay, so yeah, if you are interested, you can always connect with us. Okay, let me just pull out my my share screen. You can scan the QR code to connect with us through WeChat, or you can go to our website and send a message there. And okay, so yeah, we get another question from Lily. What should we do as a grade A students to improve writing skills? Do you have any recommendations, advice, Professor Fang?
There's a lot, a lot of things you can do, right? So I think a general advice that I gave to like my younger students is to really read a lot. Okay, so there is a strong connection between intentional reading. Okay, intentional reading, not just you read a novel and then you laugh and then that's it, right? So the intentional reading is really important for you to improve your writing skills. Okay, so good writers are definitely good readers, although good readers are not necessarily good writers, right? But if you write well, then that means you should have read well. Okay, so do a lot of reading would definitely help you. Try to kind of build up your vocabulary through reading, and try to kind of intentionally learn some writing strategies. Really kind of analyze if you like a certain part of your read, why you like it, right? So to be more, to kind of raise your awareness of other people's writing skills as you read. So I would definitely see like reading is very, very important if you want to improve your writing skills. And also you need to kind of recognize your strengths and your weaknesses as a student, right? So if you are relatively weak with your vocabulary, then probably you need to kind of just expand your vocabulary. If you are kind of weak with like certain writing strategies, so for instance, you don't know how to use, how to build coherence into your writing, then you need to kind of learn a little bit more about what are some of the ways to build coherence into writing, right? So there are different things that you can do, but definitely reading and kind of getting to know your own strengths and weaknesses would help, okay? And then find a good teacher and build up a peer group. So all those would help. A lot of things that you can do. Okay, and also for specifically, I think for the topic that we're talking about today, we're talking about personal essay, right? So I was kind of introducing college essay as a particular genre of personal narrative, right? So if you are interested in personal narrative, then you should read more of like people's memoir. So I would say memoir is one of the most, is one of my favorite genres of all. So for an 8th grader, there are some good memoirs that you can read. Okay, so for instance, recently I've been reading Trevor Noah's Born a Crime. It's very interesting. So I would totally recommend it to you and to anyone who's interested in memoir. Okay, so I'm going to just put the name of the book in the chat box here. And it's an easy read, okay? It does not have like very complicated vocabulary. I think you will have fun reading it. Hope that answers your question. Sure.
Okay. Wow, Born a Crime. That sounds. I mean, sounds like an interesting book to read. Oh.
Yeah, it's a memoir by one of the most popular talk show hosts. Yeah.
I'm just Googling it, so I see the cover. Oh, okay, now.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Okay. So, any other questions? related to the writing in general or university essay in particular? Okay. Okay, so if no other questions, then I will just conclude it. So, so if you're interested in this program in the next 2 weeks, please contact us right now because we only have 10 spots for the students because this is very individualized learning and writing as well. So I hope you can contact us as soon as possible. Okay, and I would like to say thank you to Professor Fang for sharing with us. I mean, even though I don't need to write an essay, hopefully not. Oh my God, no, I'm not with that. So I'm learning as well. I mean, sometimes I feel writing is hard. I mean, myself, when I'm putting on, I use a paper or just computer, it's like, oh gosh, what I'm going to write. But at least today, I think the 2 brainstorming activities give me some idea as well to really look into yourself and look for what things you can do. I believe this will be a real helpful tool for our audience here today to get started, no matter join our program or not. I mean, those are really great tools to explore, right? Help you generate your ideas. Okay, so thank you so much for sharing with us this evening, already tonight. Yeah. And,
Sure, glad to be here.
okay, so I hope everyone learned something here today. And would you mind just saying thank you to Professor Fang? And so I see a lot of them saying there already. Carl, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
thank you, Carrie and Tina, Lily.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And remember, we have this weekly event. So we'll see you sometime again the same time next week again. Okay, thank you, Jason. Thank you, Mofi. Okay, have a
Thanks,
great.
everybody.
Thank you, Professor Fang. You have a great night over there in Florida. Enjoying the sun.
Thank you. I will.
Okay, bye everyone. Thank you.